They didn't have the wherewithal to stand there and vote for their constituents. Instead, they chose to walk out, and that means that their constituency did not have a vote on that bill whatsoever.
Republican Representative Megan Blanksma calling out her Democratic colleagues back on March 29th when they chose to walk out instead of voting on House Bill 374. That was the bill that was trying to fix the vagueness of Idaho's abortion ban, removing the affirmative defense clause and adding some specific exemptions. It passed, by the way, despite 11 Democratic lawmakers removing themselves from the vote. So why are we talking about that today? Well, you take that same situation, about 10 lawmakers, reverse it, and multiply it by 22 times, and you'll know what is happening right now in the Oregon state legislature. Across the border, they have a Democratic majority in the legislature. And since May 3rd, 11 senators, 10 Republican and 1 independent, have failed to step onto the Senate floor, which has put that chamber in a standstill because Oregon is one of 4 states that requires 2/3 of lawmakers to be present in chamber in order for any work to be done. And this isn't the first time Oregon Republicans have done this. They did it in 2021, 2020, and 2019. So 3 times in the last 4 years, which is why Oregonians amended their constitution last November to say failure to attend without permission or excuse 10 or more legislative floor sessions shall be deemed disorderly behavior and shall disqualify their member from public office or from holding office as a senator or representative for the term following the election after the member's current term is completed. So we wanted to speak to one of those senators accused of disorderly behavior. Republican Senator Lynn Findley has served District 30 in Oregon, which includes Crook, Grant, Harney, part of Deschutes, Lake, Baker, and Malheur counties since 2020. He told us today this 22-day walkout was sparked by something Senate staffers showed them. He said at the end of April, it was pointed out Oregon lawmakers were not complying with a 1979 law, which required all bill summaries to be written at an 8th grade reading level, 8th or 9th grade reading level. It also carried over into Senate rules, that law, I should say. Even the Constitution of Oregon says acts be plainly worded, avoiding use of technical terms. Good luck with that. But this protest was based on bill summaries, the part of the bill that simplifies it, usually puts it in about 1 or 2 paragraphs to kind of make it easily digestible. And Senator Findley says those have all been written by legislative counsel, the same counsel who said if lawmakers pass that bill as it is written, well, then it's automatically compliant with the law. Senator Findley and the others didn't agree. And they all want the bills not already acted on to be brought back to committees and those summaries rewritten. Because if they don't, well, they're not following the law and they aren't serving their citizens. The Senate majority leadership disagreed, so the minority walked out.
I get questions from constituents all the time. What does this bill mean? What the heck are you talking about? And when we write them in, advanced doctoral grade level, people don't understand them. So we believe if we continue doing what we were doing, we were in contradiction to the Oregon Constitution. We're in direct violation of Oregon revised statute, and we're in direct violation of Oregon Senate rules.
Senator Findley says they asked Senate leaders to bring some of the bills back to committee so they could bring their summaries into compliance.
And they refused. So we said, well, my oath of office means a lot to me. I swore an oath of the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of Oregon, to uphold the laws of the state of Oregon. And I believe if we act on these measures without them complying with that knowingly, we're in violation of those in Senate rules.
Did this walkout have anything to do with any of the abortion, gender-affirming care bills or gun bills?
There's certainly some measures that do not comply. And we said, send these measures back to a committee and have them fixed. And they refused.
Not because you didn't want to vote on them.
Now, we don't like the bills. Don't get me wrong. For 1 second, I think these are terrible, terrible bills that take away the parental rights of all parents. I would love to have the opportunity to stand and debate these and bring all the shortcomings of those measures out to the public, because if the public really heard all the draconian effects of these measures, they're probably not going to like them too much.
Okay, so what does this walkout accomplish then? I mean, if you want to debate these and point out the fallacies of these bills, you're not doing that with a walkout.
Well, and let's be realistic, unlike Idaho, Oregon has a different dynamics in the legislature. The minority party in Oregon is Republicans, And the Democrats have the votes to do anything they want to do except raise taxes and provide a quorum. So we don't like the bills. One of the tools we have is deniable quorum. I would prefer to have a bill on the floor of debate and put into record and then put the authors of the bill accountable to the voters of Oregon. But it's got to be a legal bill to do it. And if it's not legal, then I can't get there.
Okay, you mentioned Idaho.
This was a charade that was going to fix nothing, and we didn't want to play a role in it, so we left.
And some Republicans pointed out that they're basically thumbing their nose at democracy. They have a job to do. They should be there to do it. Their constituents are not getting good representation. How does that apply to you guys?
It's kind of funny. The Democrats are saying the same thing about us in Oregon.
In a democracy, it is imperative that the minority should not have the ability to overrule and silence the will of the majority.
It's a tool the minority party uses. The best thing to do is to figure out and get along a lot better than we are.
The clerk will please call the roll.
That tool, senators staying away from the floor to prove a point,
Dembro, Finley,
has now put Senator Finley and 9 others
Hansel, Hayden
in a place where they've set their own term limits.
Colleagues, the quorum is not present.
Last November, voters overwhelmingly agreed to hold absences accountable.
They are holding us hostage by this walkout.
So now, any lawmaker who fails to show up for work without permission for 10 days would be disqualified from holding office. You're past that.
I am past that, and I did that. Did I like it? No. But my oath of office means more to me than personal gain. And therefore, I'm willing to sacrifice that so I can look myself in the mirror and say, well, I'm doing everything I can to comply with my oath of office, even if it means that I'm no longer going to be a senator after the next election.
Did you vote for that measure?
You know, I did not.
Well, 59% of your constituents in Malheur County voted for it.
Yeah, it passed in Malheur County, and it passed in the 9 other counties that I support. And I respect the will of the voters. I would guarantee if you ask all those voters, what did it really mean? They probably didn't know.
And that's kind of the basis of this whole walkout, is that there's a lot of things that people don't really understand.
That's exactly right. You loop it back to this whole walkout is we have to be able to speak in plain English. We have to be able to say, so any non-lawyer, which I'm not, can understand what the heck we're talking about.
Do you see this lasting till June 25th?
You know, we're fully prepared to do that. I would hope we wouldn't. I would hope we could come to reach an agreement, get all sides together and have meaningful negotiations and plot a path forward.
Don't show up for 10 days unexcused, you don't get to run again. That seems pretty simple. But June 25th, by the way, is the designated day for the end of the Oregon legislative session. And Senator Finley said they are prepared to come back that day and pass all the bills required, like the budgets, which has already been funded, by the way, through September 15th. Senator Finley said there might be some light at the end of the tunnel right now because there's getting word the governor has become engaged in getting these lawmakers back to work. As for 2024, Senator Finley says he's not sure whether he'll run for re-election. And that's kind of the confusing part of this new rule. It says they can't hold office for the following term, but it doesn't say they can't run and win that office. So we'll see what happens.